Hi, also, I've given some of you feedback that I want to see more academic sources or more peer-reviewed sources, and it's turned out to be one of the shortcomings in this particular class shell that there's not a solid library session tutorial. So I thought I'd do something real quick to kind of help you get to the right places. One of the things I should tell you is general Google searches, Google Scholar, even something like Google Books. Those are not solid databases to go into to look for academic sources for a number of reasons. But the primary reason, especially with Google Scholar or Google Books, is a thing called orphaned works. And Google has been putting a lot of material online into Google Scholar, especially. Some of that stuff is open access materials that are put up there by researchers, but some of it is things where they edit out part of the text so that they can get around copyrights, which means if you go into a place, if you go into there and you get a source from there and you use a quote, for example, you may not be getting all of the quote. You never know where they've edited that information out. So it tends to be very unreliable. So the thing that I would recommend doing is, you can see I have it bookmarked, and it's a place I go to a lot, is libraries, nvcc.edu/library. That's always going to bring you to this landing page right here. And one of the things you can do is there's a chat session. You can click on that. Usually during the day, they'll respond quickly, and that's Eastern Standard Time. And you may get a bit slower of a response a little bit later, but for the most part, I think you should get an immediate response during the daytime. So, and the librarians within the whole NOVA system are really good. They work well. They're very, very available. If you were even close to a campus and could go onto campus and talk to one of the reference librarians there, that could be helpful too. But absent that, one of the things you have to do, one of the things you can do is go to, this is the library page, this is the portal for the library, and here you can look for a lot of online materials. Okay, so when I'm asking for academic materials, most of everything that's been in here, that is in here, has been vetted for academic merit. It lands on the books and ebooks section, which also has DVDs and streaming video, but I'm going to pop over to articles first. Okay. There's two databases within articles. There's Academic Search Complete, which is EBSCO, and there's ProQuest Research Library. Okay, so I'm going to click on Academic Search Complete real quick, and then I'm going to switch over and change my focus. Okay, so when you do a search, and remember I've asked you for peer-reviewed sources, so there's a basic search option, right? Or the advanced search option. You can restrict sources a lot easier that way, with all these other options. But if you just click on full text and scholarly peer-reviewed journals, and then I'm going to put in a subject for something I've seen in the past here. So one of the things you can see is, although I pasted that in, once you begin to type in something, you may see some other options, some other good keywords that will go along with it. Pollution, and this one is actually going to return you some results. Full text scholarly peer journals already. So within this database, there are 6 sources, all of them in academic journals, and they're going to give you solid statistical or well-researched articles from academic journals. Okay, so if we were to pop back, so that's 6 sources, right? So if we pop back to this landing page and go to ProQuest, and then I will click over to that one. All right, so ProQuest, and I like to have the advanced search up right away. Same search, Chesapeake Bay pollution, limit to full text, peer-reviewed scholarly journals. I tend to say you want to start 5 years back and then 10 years back and then limit it, but I'm not going to limit the dates at all for this. But for most tech writing, I think you're going to find, unless you're doing unless you need some background information, the last 5 years is probably going to get you the type of information you need. So Chesapeake Bay solution, peer reviewed, full text, and 20 sources. Okay. So you can now use the information that you find from these and sort of what you get from the descriptions to compare the two different databases for results. And as I said, with ProQuest, you have a nice chart over here that kind of gives you some times when the scholarship has seemed to have peaked, and so maybe there was something special about these couple of years here. And since that's a 10-year span right there, you update. It really hasn't narrowed anything. So all of the sources that we found were still within this last 10-year period, which means that you have some currency, that there's current sources in here that you can work with. And then it's a matter of matching up what are these sources with the sources in the other database. Now, some of these have the full text PDF available. Some of them have a full text, that'll probably pop up a window within which you can look at this. Almost all of these sources will ultimately be PDFs, and you'll have a way to download that PDF. And as I said earlier, you should be signed in to Minova to be able to get this far. You might be able to get results without being signed in, but you're not going to be able to download or look at anything. So ProQuest. ProQuest, that's the one we just looked at, and then Academic Search Complete, which is actually EBSCO. If you want to go into databases by subject, you can do that. So that will pop up a new tab. And if you look at something like information technology, again, that will pop up a new tab. And then you can see here's ProQuest and EBSCO right here that have already sort of pre-selected areas that you can look at. And then you can look further down for some other sources. So that's going to be your best opportunity to find what I'm asking for, which are academic quality pieces. Now, if we were to enter the same search term into books and ebooks, here's the books results page. So you can do, if we're gonna look at currency, looks like the last thing was published in 2014. So I'm still only going to go back to 2007 and see what sort of results show up. Okay. So you can see over here, because this is books, some of these are physical copies, and you'll see that list right over here. But there's usually an available online option. So what that means is here you have, looks like 2 documentaries. Those are videos, right? And then you have a book here that's talking about the military's role in polluting Chesapeake Bay. So if that's your subject, then you might find some chapters available that are worth including with the other resources that you're looking at. So, you can go, this is separated out by chapters. You can kind of see by the titles what to expect in each of these. Chemical weapons, radioactive contamination, those would be 2 things to look at, maybe PCB and other ship contamination. So at this point, if you're looking at some of these chapters, it would probably depend on what else you found. So if I'm asking for academic sources, this is where you go. Land on the Nova Libraries page, do some searches in articles, these top 2 databases, and you should find some sources that will sort of offset the issue that exists around primarily newspaper sources, which don't have the same requirements. They don't have the same high bar for publication. Okay. Newspapers kind of rely on getting information out quickly. Peer-reviewed journals rely on ensuring that the information is as correct as possible before it reaches publication. And so that, and as a copy editor myself in the past, I can tell you that peer-reviewed journals go through several rounds and several different people. You may have an author and an editor at the news in a news story, but in a peer-reviewed article, it's going to be the author, it's going to be a managing editor, it's going to be a copy editor, it's going to, you know, there may be there'll be several other layers of rounds of that editing that goes back and forth. And that's just in the sort of post accepted phase. In order to even get accepted, it has to pass through experts, okay? Experts in the field who say that that's making a contribution to the field. So that's sort of the quickest sort of library instruction video I can give, okay? All right.